I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and joining me now on our continuing coverage from the World Economic Forum here at Davos, Rishi Khosla, co-founder and CEO of OakNorth. Rishi, welcome. Good to have you again with us. Let's dive straight into the topic. Cross-border trade completely disrupted as we know it. It's being reshaped even as we speak by geopolitics and friend shoring. What does this shift mean for business as you know it, and particularly for your clients?
So obviously there's been a lot of geopolitical change, right, in terms of the overall environment, especially in the last year. And I think that the ability for countries to take more control of what they are doing clearly enables them to be that much stronger. So I think there is a reshaping. I think that reshaping then drives where talent focuses, where capital focuses, and the like. So when we think about it from our perspective, obviously we have operations across India, the UK, and the US, right? But the ability to operate globally still exists very much, and that opportunity is still there. It's just, how can I put it, more carefully managed than it was previously.
From a business point of view, you help what I call small and medium enterprises. Big banks somehow ignore them. In terms of the new landscape that is shaping up, what are the key trends that you can share with our audience today?
Sure. So, I mean, we focus on the upper end of the small and medium-sized organizations, and they've always been somewhat underserved because technology doesn't enable you to transform the way you're doing that type of lending because the ticket size is too large to have fully lending decision driven by technology and scorecards. And because of that, the evolution in how those companies have been lent to hasn't actually evolved with their needs. And that's really where OakNorth has focused in terms of actually stepping into that underserved segment and actually providing the type of support that those businesses need. So over the last 10 years, we've lent over $21 billion now into that segment and helped create over 61,000 new jobs. And that last statistic is actually a really important one because the segment that we do focus on, albeit being underserved by traditional banks and by Fintech and by private credit, is a segment which is actually one of the most productive within economies and communities.
How is AI helping you better manage risk, do underwriting, and perhaps make it good for both your borrower and you as the lender?
So as we know, and especially with the echo chamber that Davos is, AI is like as high up the agenda as it was last year, if not higher up. The impact of AI, not only being able to drive efficiency within your organization, but also being able to help you change the experience for your customer and help you actually be more rigorous in your processes, all of that is up for grabs. And as OakNorth, we've been on that march. I mean, first with ML, but then with AI for years, with obviously more agentic infrastructure in the last 12 months. And I'll tell you, it's really transforming the way that you think about the business and think about your servicing your customers.
How much of a productivity improvement and a ROI benefit has it provided to you?
I mean, I'll give you just a perfect example. In our credit analytics type functions and areas, we probably had over 20% productivity last year, and we'll get the same again this year, right? And that's in a highly analytical and financially focused activity. So very significant.
Okay. Let's come back to some of the context that has been understood with regard to how you ventured into this and the business that you set up. You chose the approach of doing a focused rather than a universal bank.
Yes.
Yeah. Why did you do that?
So in our view, you sort of get known and get really good at something, and then over time may expand from that. But actually trying to be like special in lots of different ways from day one is really hard to execute and really hard to deliver for your customers. So for us, it was about getting to know the customer pain points and making sure we were razor focused on delivering for that customer, which was their most important.
Would you have changed that decision if I were to give you the opportunity to go back and sort of turn back the clock?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay. also gives me pleasure to bring in at this stage Pushkar Mukewar, the CEO and co-founder of Drip Capital. Pushkar, we've been discussing various things with Rishi, and he's on the clock, so I'm going to get you into the conversation. The last main thing that we asked him about how AI is helping improve the efficiency of the business that he runs. The very same question to you.
Sure. No, glad to be here. I think it's been quite interesting. Like, I think I've been attending a lot of sessions over the last 3 days, and AI is definitely dominating most of the sessions. And
somebody said that you could remove the word economic, you could say World AI Conference, and you could say it's been happening for the last 3 years.
Exactly. So we, just to give you a bit of a background, so we are essentially a digital trade finance platform. We work with small and medium-sized businesses across multiple markets, and essentially our platform enables trade finance access for these small businesses. And I think I would say that for us, the implementation of AI has been really centered around 2 areas. One is actually risk management and fraud. I think for our kind of a business, that's super core. And I think AI is enabling us to significantly enhance our ability to be able to detect fraud and to lower our, in general, loss rates, which then enables us to sort of expand our market and perhaps even better price our customers, right? The second area is obviously what most companies are focused on, which is how do you drive efficiency in the business, right? And for our trade finance business, it's everything from how do you sort of digitize documents and leverage AI now for doing it far more efficiently? How do you implement AI in customer support, customer success? And I would say that last 2 years, while we've continued to grow significantly, one thing we've been able to do is pretty much maintain our manpower, and that's the effect we are seeing now with implementing AI in various aspects of our business model.
I'm going to follow that up with another question, and this is the impact of what we are seeing on tariffs. There's of course a headline tariff that the US has hit most countries in the world with, then there are effective tariff rates. But this is also feeding into geopolitical uncertainty, supply chain fragmentation that's happened after COVID. What is the impact in your assessment in the SME space? Are they kind of being hit more than larger companies? How are they shaping up?
So I would say definitely the SME segment seems to be impacted more because I think a lot of large companies with perhaps even global operations have been able to some extent at least migrate some of their production or some of their value addition to other geographies, right? But when you look at SMEs, many of them in particular sectors like textiles, frozen seafood, where US is one of the largest buyers from India, and almost 60-70% of Indian SME trade in these sectors goes to the US. I think what we saw once the high tariffs got introduced in August, specifically for India, we definitely saw a sort of a volume drop, and I think everybody is obviously expecting that at some point the announcement or some sort of a trade deal will get materialized. But I think we are seeing that drop has been more or less permanent now, and I think many of these SMEs are obviously actively looking at diversifying their buyer base and looking at other avenues of growth, whether it's domestic or expanding to markets like Europe and Asia.
There is a bounce back once that trade deal, and also with the European Union, which should help in diversifying. Rishi, I want to take that question to you also, because it's very clear whenever there is a significant shock of this kind that we have seen in the past in the Indian economic context, I'm only focusing on that with whatever understanding you have of that, the informal economy always gets hit. Right, and many of these SMEs actually operate on the margins of the informal economy. What's your sense? You use the word permanent, but do you think that damage is going to be everlasting?
I think in reality, it's sort of, in a way, these things seep to the weakest parties, right? And the smallest entities within the supply chain tend to be the weakest parties, right? And therefore they end up absorbing more than others. So I think that there's clearly sort of structural damage. The question is how long does it last, to whether it is permanent or not.
Okay. Give me your sense about the impact that your customers in the US have been facing on account of the changes that policy there is.
Yeah, I mean, look, in reality, it's exactly the same point. Like, who absorbs the extra cost? Yeah. Is it the supplier? Is it the company which is doing the importing, right? So, are you the customer of sort of the non-US company? Or is it the customer of the customer, right? And again, the ability for the end customer or the end consumer to take increased cost is hard given all the inflationary sort of impacts which have already been passed through over the last 3 years or so, 3-4 years.
What is that one policy reform that you would want to be pursued, and this is specifically in the Indian context, that would kind of help these MSMEs at this time of constant change?
Yeah, I would say I think the government's active effort on kind of finalizing a trade deal with EU and with some of the other markets in light of what's happening macroeconomically is definitely something where we'll hopefully start seeing the impact of that and opening up those trade corridors on the impact we would see on the SMEs and their businesses being able to then navigate this macroeconomic factor. I think the second thing is just in terms of the interest rate subsidies, which typically has been part of in our order to promote our exports. There's always an interest rate subsidy which the government offers, and I think kind of equalizing that more in line with some of the other markets which these SMEs are competing with. I think the cost of credit in India still tends to be higher than some of the other markets, and when you're in international trade, you're pretty much competing globally. So I would say like those are the two things I think.
Viewers, among the many conversations that we have, we've also had this slice of intelligence from both our panelists here, and very clearly in a world of tumult, the impact is felt differently by different people, and therefore the policy response, specifically in the Indian context that Pushkar spoke of, is very, very significant. But I'm going to thank both of my guests at this stage here for their time with us today, and we'll come back with more. Until then, goodbye.